And one piece of news that I did want to talk about that was kind of going crazy on film Twitter that I wanted to get your take on was that Amazon MGM Studios have now gained creative control of the James Bond franchise in a landmark deal that was announced on the 20th, which was just a few days from this recording. And basically, what that means is that there's a new joint venture that's formed between Amazon, MGM, and the Broccoli family to house the James Bond intellectual property rights. Because prior, Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, they were basically in control of the, James Bond projects. They will remain as co-owners, but they are stepping back from creative roles. And this ends the Broccoli family's 61-year, I guess, reign of the creative control over the franchise.
Yeah.
Monopoly, yeah. That's also a good word to use. But what do you think about this news, Brad? Josh, sorry.
My last name is also a first name, so You're not the first or the last person to call me Brad or Bradley, so it's all good. I'll respond to either one. This was kind of surprising to me, or I think everyone knew this would happen eventually, but it kind of happened suddenly, it seemed like. And I guess what's really notable here is that Barbara Broccoli and all those folks have been very protective of the James Bond brand over the years. Famously, I think they have a lot of sway over casting and a lot of sway over which directors get hired. Mm-hmm. And they've had either official or unofficial mandates that James Bond must be a British man and that the director must also be British. And again, I don't know if that's an official policy or just the way it's always gone, but now theoretically Jeff Bezos is in on those decisions. So you're making a face. I'm feeling a similar way. So I don't really know what to expect, but I wonder if this means that James Bond may evolve beyond what it's been. I wonder if this means we're going to get some shitty James Bond TV shows on Amazon. That's maybe a likelihood, but I don't know. We'll see, I guess. It's a big change.
Yeah, because there are TV shows that are on Amazon. I'm not sure exactly what franchise it is. I think it's based in the John Wick franchise. I'm not sure, but Amazon seems to have these properties of these very popular franchises, and they do make
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah, that's one of them. And then there's another one for a show called Century or Centurium. I don't know the name of it exactly, but it's this action show I saw on Amazon once, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. And it was based off of some franchise. It's not coming to mind right now, but this feels very I'm not happy about this, to say the least, because I think that this is definitely going to make James Bond become another cog in the Amazon machine. You know what I mean? And also, Daniel Craig does not like that Netflix did the 1 week release for Knives Out 2 and then put it on streaming. Mm-hmm. And it's very likely that Amazon's going to do the same thing with upcoming James Bond movies, just putting them straight to streaming like they did with that Roadhouse movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. So this does not look like it's going to be helpful.
But
anyway,
it certainly does feel indicative of the times we're in the current media landscape. James Bond was one of the few remaining beloved franchises that was movies only and a very specific vision and specific, I don't know if quality control is the right word, because there have been some bad James Bond movies, but and now James Bond, which has been this movie franchise for decades, is now gonna get into the streaming world again and possibly become TV. I'm speculating about the TV thing. I'm just kind of I kind of just predict that's where it's going, just because that's where everything's going. We have a Lord of the Rings TV show on Amazon that I don't know anyone who watches it. Even though those are beloved movies. So I don't know. Yeah,
it is very interesting because I think that Amazon has a very algorithm driven approach when it comes.
They all do. Yeah.
And it's clear that they want to do something that just fits in their business model, So it does feel like there is going to be some there are certain things about James Bond that people love. The fact that he's suave, his demeanor. I think Daniel Craig plays a really great James Bond, and I love the films. And I fear that Amazon will have a different perception of the James Bond character that doesn't make him seem as heroic. And it's possible that in the long term, they may make decisions that will alienate James Bond fans. I'm not sure how, but
But also, I think this, again, we're just talking predictions here, but I wonder if this could flood the market of James Bond, like what's happened to Star Wars in the last 5-10 years. Star Wars movies used to be a major, major, major event, and now there's
Yeah.
like what 5 Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, and like it's kind of just becoming less exciting when like a new Star
Yeah.
Wars thing comes out, and like it used to be the biggest event in that year or a number of years when Star Wars movie comes out. Now it's just like, okay, now Obi-Wan's on Disney Plus, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of other stuff to watch. So I don't know, that could happen here too. It's just like an oversaturation of James Bond that used to be
Yeah.
something special that we get every few years.
That's very true. It's likely that they'll take James Bond and try to make a James Bond like multiverse in a way, the same way with like you said, Star Wars and also Marvel, like
If a
making all of
Q
these.
origin story and yeah, like a
Yes. Oh
series
my
about that kind of stuff. Yeah,
gosh.
like Gadgets
Ugh.
Only show. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't feel very hopeful for how James Bond is going to move forward. Even though I've said before, I have content brain, like I'll watch anything. I feel like
Sure.
in terms
Yeah.
of in terms of this, I feel like I will restrain myself from it because I like the way James Bond is now. I like the way
Mhm.
that they do these films and the franchise. I love the writing and I love everything about the movies. But if they want to like do spin-offs, if they want to make a larger James Bond saga with like more frequent releases, then it's just going to dilute the story that you
Mhm.
already have. It's
Yeah.
going to lose all the storytelling, the spectacle, like everything that's defined the series is just going to be taken away.
Or maybe we're wrong, and they're just going to put out a movie every 3 years, and it's going to be good, and
Yeah.
it's going to stay in theaters for 6 months. Maybe we're wrong. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we're probably right. It's probably
I
going to
mean,
get worse at this point.
we're literally just talking out of our ass right now because we don't
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
going to
I mean, it was
happen.
announced 3 days ago. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, I mean, also full disclosure, I haven't read any of the articles. I've only read the headlines. So I'm really talking out of my ass, but that's okay. We're on podcast. Who needs to read the article?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah. I remember just like looking through the article and watching other people's opinions of it. It
Yeah.
feels, you're right. It does feel like it's very reminiscent of where we are right now in terms of like the media landscape because you have movies coming out in theaters and they're immediately going to streaming or digital and not giving any time for them to be in theaters. So
Yeah.
this does feel
And
like no, go
it's
ahead.
hurting box office. You're training the audience to like not go see it in theaters because it's going to be on your TV in 2 weeks or
Yeah.
less even. So like, it's just hurting the industry and hurting theaters, and I don't
Yeah.
like it.